It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Throughout history, sadly, surfing has been perceived as a predominantly white male sport, and we can understand why. Now, seeking to analyze and challenge this perception, Dr. Glen Thompson has made waves by attaining his PhD in history, writing his thesis on the history of South African surfing and the growth, in particular, of Zulu surfing culture. Here to tell us a little bit more, the doc is in. Glen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Graham.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. This really is groundbreaking work, and seems quite strange that in the context of South Africa that we haven't focused on this sooner. What was the motivation? What prompted you, that light bulb moment, to go and do this?
Well, I think firstly, I've been kind of working on this for a while and only formalized the research in 2009. But I started about 13 years before that. And I think the light bulb was a conference call for a conference in Hawaii, which was called Surfing Narratives or Surfing Safaris. And I thought, yeah, I can give a paper here because I just finished a master's in history. And I thought, yeah, I can do this. So I went across, and the outcome was I surfed Waikiki Beach. I realized this was the sort of the fulcrum of modern surfing, and it started making me think about, wait a sec, there's actually some really serious inquiry to be done about where South Africa fits into this bigger picture. So that's really part of my story in terms of thinking about this intellectually, I guess.
And we've seen in recent years especially, there is a culture around surfing. There is a huge film following attached to this. There is an opportunity to really spread a message, but we're starting to see that culture change. Or are we starting to see that culture change?
I think it's a yes and no. I think the kind of dominance of the past is still present, and that is still, in a sense, the perception that many in society still feel surfing is white and male predominantly. However, I would say that since we became a new democracy, that the ability to think about change and think about new possibilities, beach apartheid was dropped in the end of the 80s, and also, women's rights became much more open and much more accessible in terms of empowering women, and you sort of saw both black surfers and women surfers taking to the waves much more in many more numbers from the 90s onwards, and specifically from the 2000s. And that has a lot to do with the visual imagery that's come from, the movies that Hollywood's put out, and even local documentaries on black surfing that we've seen of late.
You really have put your money where your mouth is, because you're competing competitively now,
I am, yes.
which is a cool endorsement in and of itself. But how do you balance that? How do you find the time to surf and put the time in that you have to as an academic?
Yeah, well, I think there's two ways. I mean, I've chosen a topic which keeps me close to a passion of mine. Okay, so that can be questioned, and I'm open to that question. But I do feel that coming from the perspective of sitting in the ocean, sitting on the beach, and looking back to society, and asking questions about what's happening in society, and can I see those happening on the beach as well, and where's the flow between, and is one of the reasons why I actually took to competitive surfing. I didn't like competitive surfing as a teenager, but I took to surfing as part of my methodology to try and understand one aspect of surfing culture that is the one that popular culture and the surf media brings to the fore and reports on. I actually want to understand not just who won, but how does someone win? And then what does that do for your identity as a woman or a male or as a white or a black surfer?
You have achieved something truly special here. Thank you so much for the time and the effort, and the amount of thought that you have put into this, as one should, I suppose, for a thesis. Really look forward to the next topic you're going to tackle, but this really is groundbreaking stuff. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thanks, Graham.
Good job,
the time.
man.
Thanks.
Well, it's important to remember that we need to celebrate our diversity in this country, but more than that, it's important to strive for more inclusive South Africa in all aspects of life, even those that seem to be elitist. There is a way that we can open those doors, and we can start seeing young South Africans achieving what they want to, achieving what they deserve to in our country.
Surfing isn't just a sport or beach band's entertainment. It's a culture that has transcended all socio-economic backgrounds and cultural barriers, and it provides hope to those who need inspiration and motivation to grow beyond a tough life. Ndile started sniffing glue as a way of escaping the hardships of being a street kid. But being out in the water and riding waves was a healthier form of escapism, and surfing became the catalyst to a better life. For Ndile, surfing brings him great joy and acts as a source of rehabilitation from his past life on the streets.
Surfing makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like I'm in heaven. Yes, I used to sniff glue, and I realized that I have to quit it for myself. Because surfing for me, it's like a rehab. So even with my smoking, and it's helping me a lot.
Sihle Mbuto lived on the streets for a number of years. However, after being introduced to surfing, found a new joy in life. For Sihle, surfing means time away from his daily worries and frustrations.
Surfing to me, it means life, it means future for me, because it's the only thing that's made me realize that life is not about smoking, begging on the street light, not listening to people. Jumping off the pier is like jumping off the street to a new life of living.
Andile and Sihle are great examples of people who are consciously breaking down barriers of the past and inspiring the younger generation to go against the status quo and follow their dreams.